Hi, everyone.
Hi everyone.
Welcome back to another episode of Can We Discuss with Yara and Patra. Today, we're so excited because we have Jude Abed joining our discussion. Jude is an early childhood educator turned mom and soon to be a certified parent coach. She also has such a cute community on Instagram called Little Mighty Moments, where she features her adorable little baby girl and also shares all of the tips and tricks that you need, but keeps it so real, which is what I really love about your content, Jude. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's honestly such an honor. Like, you guys are doing an amazing job.
We're
Like, I
so
love your
excited.
content. Thank you for having me.
We're so excited you're here today. So, obviously, for today's topic, we're really going to be diving into the transition of becoming a first time mom, breaking generational cycles, and modern day parenting and all of the challenges that comes with it. So to kick us off, I want to know, Jude, what surprised you the most about becoming a first time mom?
What didn't surprise me, honestly, it's really like such a transformational journey. I mean, coming from a background of early childhood education, I thought, oh, like I'm the right candidate. Like, I'm gonna ace it. I know everything about early childhood. It's gonna be easy. And you hear people telling you, oh, when you hold your baby for the first time, you just know, you feel the instant connection, mother instinct, all of that. It's bullshit.
I
Honestly.
love that. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's
I love
bullshit,
that.
honestly, because
Yeah.
Mythbuster. That's a
yeah,
mythbuster.
yeah. I mean, some people do amazing if like you hold your baby for the first time and you definitely feel like your life's changed. But for me personally, it was just like, is she alive? Is she okay? Like,
Yeah.
like, thank God this is over, and I think just going back to pregnancy, just before even like becoming a mom, you have all these changes that are going on in your body. You see people on social media, like some people have the glow when they're pregnant and some people barely gain
It's not
weight.
just sweat.
No, no, it's glow.
It's
Some
go.
people do. And honestly, my sister had a glow. Like, she only gained 8 kilos. Like, she looked amazing. And I was like, okay, like, I was like, and
It's a
and
good
that's what
sign.
made me want to get pregnant. I was
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
but little did I know, I gained 25 kilos. I hated myself. I never took any pictures. I isolated myself, and I never had the problem of, oh, I don't look good, or like self consciousness. I had
Yeah.
it in my teens for sure, just like any other
Just like
teen.
any
But
other. Yeah.
like, as I got married and things like that, خلاص, I was happy with myself.
Yeah.
But truly, the 9 months, yes, God gives you 9 months to prepare, and you think that's enough time, but it's not. So there's that bit. And then comes, okay, delivery, natural birth, C-section. There's
Yeah.
only so much you can prepare. And I took these courses and all of that, but there's only so much you can prepare. Little did I know, I got into an emergency C-section. Talia's heart rate decreased. And I was like, okay, in a split second, I was like, I need to give birth. And the doctor was like, you're okay with doing an emergency C-section? I was like, let's go, do it. Just
Of
get the
course. Just
baby
getting her
out,
safe. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after that, there's definitely a sense of relief. But I think the best way to frame it is like, it's an emotional tug of war, because you have that intense surge of oxytocin, like, it's subhanallah, like, God created us this way. We
Yeah.
get that oxytocin to let a mom know that your baby is the center of attention.
Yeah.
But then again, after you come back from the hospital, okay, you have that surge of oxytocin, your baby's the center of attention, but then you go like, okay, I still look pregnant, I'm leaking, I'm bleeding, and what? Like, now I need to take care of the baby, and then
And myself a bit, and then there's
exactly,
something else that I need to
exactly.
always be careful. There's another human being that I'm affecting with everything I do, so it's just
100%. It's nerve-wracking. But then, of course, there's a lot of happiness, and the thing is, like, there's now a lot more talk about postpartum depression, anxiety, all of that. Alhamdulillah, I didn't get postpartum depression, so my heart really truly goes out to the people that do, because I would say, maybe like anxiety, just like any other
yeah.
person. Like, with change comes anxiety, comes discomfort.
Yeah.
But there are changes that happen to our hormones. The need, I think, like, the most important thing is like having that supportive system around you. to just guide you through it. And I think the awareness that, okay, I'm going through hormonal changes, it's going to be fine. I'll get past it. Having that, okay, it makes it smoother and easier, but at the same time, it's tough. It's really
Yeah.
tough. And there's that pressure of bouncing back, you
Yeah.
know? But it's like, why don't we tell women to bounce forward? You know, like, why are we so focused on
I
getting
love
back to our
that.
old selves?
Yeah.
It's
Because you're a completely new person, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we've yet to experience it, but no, I know it becomes خلاص, you're that person is who you were is still a part of who you are, but you're now a new person too. There's additional emotions, different thoughts, a different personality. There's now maybe Jude the mom as well, يعني, in addition to all of the other Judes that were there. And how do you feel like that changes as your child grows?
That's a tough one. I mean, like, babies are nonverbal from like, so it's like you have a lot of self-talk in your head, like, you know, like
Yeah.
oh, like I need to lose weight. Oh, like I have my relationship with my husband. Oh, I haven't answered my friends. Like, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm still not back to my old self. I don't know if I ever will be. But I think definitely there are lessons learned. Like, it's also not just the people around you, but you need to put the effort to actually have a balance, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, we're not the first or the last people to give birth to babies. Like, people have been doing it for centuries and centuries, you know? So
Beginning of time.
yeah, exactly. So it's tough, but also it's a transformational journey.
I can
Wow.
imagine.
I
Honestly,
think
it's go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say like about the anxiety, like I'm not even a mom, but like when my friends give birth and when I'm around their kids, I literally get that sense of anxiety of like, can we check in on them? They're sleeping. Are they breathing? Like, are they, you know what I mean? Are they okay? Yani, every
Yeah.
little movement that they make in their face, like you just question it all, you know, and like you know they're gonna be okay and you know they're fine, but دايما بعد عندك like that anxiety. And if I have that as like a friend, I can only imagine like being the mom and going through it as a first time mom. It must just like drive you crazy, and that's something that like really scares me.
I think that's when, like, knowledge is power. And when you're aware that, okay, I'm going through this anxiety, many people have done it, having a support system, having someone to
Yeah.
speak to, choosing the right doctor, things like that. When you build that infrastructure around you, it makes it easier. And yeah,
Yeah.
and God created us in a way where, like, you have those hormones and you do what you need to do to get your baby to survive and to thrive. And yeah, you're going to make mistakes, but you figure it out at the end of the day.
You have a background in early childhood development,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How do you feel like that impacted you becoming a first time mom?
I think, like, definitely there are positives and negatives. Positive being, like, again, knowledge is power. When you know so much, you're able to, like, know what to do. But at the same time, sometimes ignorance is bliss, because when you know too much, you know that you can really screw up your children. Like, you really can. Like, the psychology and the research is there, you know, there's no going away from it. I think it's amazing that I do have that background, but also it gives me unnecessary anxiety
Yeah.
at a point. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I think like بتصيري عم ترجع عم تفكري انه انا عملت هيك بس actually تعلمت انه المفروض اعمل شيء تاني. بس we always also know that like not everything is applicable. Like each child is very unique and their needs are very unique, so like it's not like a one size fits all model. And then but you're also in your head trying to make a one size fit all because of the knowledge that you have.
But I feel like a lot of parents are like that from what we've seen, right? I mean, you said knowledge is power, but there's also a lot of stuff that today's moms or today's parents are exposed to on social media. They're exposed to it from so many different channels at one point. It becomes kind of like knowledge overload, basically, right? How does this really affect a mom's development along with her child at this early age or early stage?
I think there's pros and cons, right? So postpartum depression is a real thing. No one is going against it. But then again, if we think back, there's this rise now of mental health and anxiety, and everyone's talking about it. Why is that the case? Because everything we see on social media is like, oh, like, you see pictures of, like, moms that just gave birth, they're holding their babies, it feels amazing, the husband's around. When in reality, that might be the truth for some people, but it's not. And when you see positive things all the time on social media, even if you're not thinking about it subconsciously, you're thinking,
Yeah.
but I don't feel that way. But I don't feel connected
It
to my husband
registers.
right after birth. I feel sleep deprived. I feel like I miss my pre-baby life. And so there's positives and negatives, but then again, the awareness, and to be fair, there's a lot of people on social media now that are saying the truth.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
portraying raw and honest, and that's what we need, right? Because I feel if just to hear one person tell you, oh, by the way, I went through that, that suddenly makes you feel like
Makes a
I
difference.
can breathe, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that applies to everything, like any hardship that we go through.
The approaches that you see on social media about how different moms should approach their child, how do you think, like as an early childhood development expert, how do you see this affecting the moms and the children? Some of it is not science backed, right? Some of it is just parents sharing what
Yeah.
they think is best for the development of their children.
I think that's a great question because honestly, I think people overcomplicate it
Okay.
with all the different methods and approaches and use this script and all of
Yeah.
that. And don't forget that people don't like to share the negatives. They only like to share the positives. So it's tricky. I'll make it super simple. Like if you tell me one thing that I would love to tell every parent, if they could leave with one thing from this podcast, is that even if you're not a parent, in general, in all relationships, by the way, is the one predictor for children leading a fulfilling life is a secure attachment. And what does that mean? That means at least having one person, one caregiver that was there for the child wholeheartedly, attentively, emotionally. And what does that mean? You literally just need to show up. Just
Yeah.
show up for your child. And
Yeah.
there's no such thing as a perfect parent. And if that exists, if anything, it's doing a disservice for your child because they need to know that my mom or my dad or my aunt, whoever it is, will make mistakes and does lose it sometimes. And I'm normal. You know what I
That's
mean?
okay.
That's okay.
Because it
Exactly.
gives them permission to also do this in the future and also be
100%.
open to learning and growing from these mistakes, right? So,
Exactly. And so if like no matter, okay, you can use this approach, and there's so many, like even when I was studying early childhood education, there's so many different curriculums. Oh, this is better, Montessori, or play-based learning, or get this wooden thing. Oh my God, it's so hectic. Like just show up, be there for your child, and think of them as you would think, like, how would you treat someone that you love? If you make a
Yeah.
mistake, repair. Tell them,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I lost it. Sometimes people lose it, but it's fine. You know what I mean? And just seeing them, like, okay, there's also so much criticism on like gentle parenting, and we're really like, babying our children. Yes, I agree. Sometimes people can do that, but at the same time, the way children's brains are wired are different than adult brains. They're right brain dominant. It's just the way our brains are developed. They focus on the emotions. Their logic, the prefrontal cortex, develops later on in life. That's just the way it is. So if a child is having a tantrum, and let's just imagine that children, they feel all the different emotions that you and I feel. كلهم they feel them, but they have zero coping skills. So can you imagine in their little bodies, let's say they're feeling angry, of course they're going to throw their bodies and they're going to have a tantrum. Yes, you
You
don't
don't
say,
know how to
it's okay
express.
habibi, yes, get angry and break everything and all of that. No, connect with them, but also speak that logic with them. Like make sure you're putting in those boundaries. They're not allowed to hit, and like it's a fine balance at the end of the day. But I think one thing that I would love to just say to all parents is trust your instincts.
Yeah.
There's so many different approaches. Just trust your instincts. Know that your child is unique.
We talked about like breaking generational cycles. We're all doing it as we're moving. One common thing that I've seen a lot, like with my girlfriends and their moms or my cousins and their moms, is the moms obviously are like waiting for their kids to have babies for them to be grandmothers. So it's a very like exciting time in their life. But at the same time, sometimes the line gets blurred where they're like, their involvement becomes, it's like they believe that they did it before, so they have the know-how. But at the same time, like, how can you find a balance and how can you navigate that where obviously you take into consideration what they want to say, but at the same time, just like they had their own journey, now it's your turn to have your own. Like, how do you strike the balance between that?
I think that's a great and very, very tough question because at the end of the day, like whether it's your in-laws or your own parents, you want to show them that respect and that okay, you value the way they did things.
صح.
But at the same time, research has changed. I'm
Yeah.
fortunate enough that I don't know if it's because of my early childhood education that like my mom doesn't necessarily interfere. She'll put some comments here and there, just like
Yeah,
any other parent. And it comes from a place of love.
of
But at
course,
the end of the
always.
day, just say okay and just do what you want.
I feel like even at one point, maybe our kids are going to go back and say, yes, you knew a lot, but now we know even more. And we're going to take it a step further.
For sure.
I think also something that you said that I love and something that our parents really agree on, and I see this a lot from a lot of my friends again and my cousins, etc., is their moms tend to eventually go like, you know what? ما بدها هالقد انه كلنا ربينا اولاد, like don't overcomplicate your journey, make it easier for yourself كمان, take all of the learnings that you can and everything that you need, بس ما تعقديها على حالك, يعني عادي انه it's رواق, you know, like everyone's been doing this for centuries, you know.
And I think sometimes, like sometimes it's good to have that reminder because you can get so stuck on like, I want to make it perfect and I want to protect and shelter my child and everything. But at the same time, yes, people have been doing it for so long. Like your child's going to be okay. We're all good people at the end of the day. We're going to get it right. And sometimes we need that reminder and know, by the way, hello, your child is going to grow up eventually and you need to have a purpose for.
Yeah.
Don't forget yourself. Exactly. And I think that's one thing that my mom continuously reminds me of. She literally just reminded me of it today. And I was like, you know what? Thank you. I needed that reminder,
I think it's a great reminder. I think it happens a lot with new moms, I feel, from what I've seen with my friends at least. And I think that's part of like the transition, right, of what we said in the beginning, where now it's not about going back to your old self. It's about like accepting and understanding who your new self is. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, this is part of the journey. Your brain chemistry is altered when you become a mother. It's scientifically proven. You never go back to who you were, but as an adult, you're always carrying the person who you were in the past. Like that's still a part of who you are.
Another segment that I wanted us to talk about, which is modern day parenting, right? There's so many different tools today, and every single one of my friends treats this differently within their own households when it comes to their kids. But what are some tools that are available today that parents should be leveraging to effectively help raise their children without holding their development back? Because there's also some studies that say, screen time, etc., can be like not that great for your kids. So how can you like strike that balance?
At the end of the day, every family is different. So let's touch on a couple of things. Screen time, yes, a child sitting on a screen all the time, that's not what they're born to do. Their innate nature is to move, to explore. And if you just think, even for ourselves, when we're watching anything, be it social media, be it a TV show, if you just notice in a matter of seconds, new stimuli, new stimuli, new stimuli. So, and they're just literally sitting and absorbing all of that. So I think the first and most important thing for like parents and even ourselves, by the way, like is just let's notice what content we're actually consuming, be it on social media, on TV, etc. And I think there's no going away from like the digital world. We live in a digital world now. It's
there forever.
It's there forever. If anything, it's only going to advance.
Yeah.
It's let's embrace it. Can you even imagine how much smarter our children are going to be? They literally have everything.
But it's a double-edged sword. I mean, this is a whole other topic I think we should discuss at one point, but it's a double-edged sword, right? Are they becoming smarter, or because of there are so many tools, they no longer need to use their brains to
Critical thinking,
like
yeah.
do the decisions? The tools are going to do everything for them. Like, yes, these tools really help us. I think it's kind of something to that I also think about, like my future children. How is their life going to be, and how is their learning going to be completely different than our learning, and the way that we were taught to do things, especially, and now the way that we are working as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
no, 100%. And look, so let's stick to the positives, and then we'll go to the negatives, which are many. There are many negatives, unfortunately. But I think with awareness and knowledge, that's when we can like empower our children to use that technology in a good way. And even like remind ourselves, not just children,
Yeah.
remind
Yeah.
ourselves on how to consume that technology. So I think the biggest problem, if you ask me, that we have is like the education system hasn't changed,
yes,
but at the same time
100%.
technology, and I'm not talking about early childhood now, like I'm talking about literally like grade
Just
1,
the
grade 2,
education
grade 3.
system as a
Yeah,
whole. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
We're still expecting children to sit on their desks, kind of consume all that knowledge from a teacher that's going like memorize this, memorize that, do that, and then vomit all that information on tests.
Yeah.
And like I truly believe that the education system needs changing. Now that's a whole other thing, and I'm sure it's in the works. It has to be in the works.
I think it's it's a very slow process, but it's coming about. Like, it's a step by step, but it's still extremely slow. That's the one industry that I feel like needs to really shift.
Yes, if we have a change in the education system that matches that technology, that rise in technology and all and everything, what we have in schools is like, don't touch your phone. We're so focused on like, don't cheat, don't plagiarize. You use that from
Yes.
ChatGPT,
Yes.
like, and it's like, how can we use that to like they get that knowledge, put them in situations where they can critically think, where they can problem solve, teach them the skills that they actually need, rather than like calculus, which you know what I
We've
mean?
never
Like
used.
teach them budgeting, teach them public speaking,
Yeah.
teach them relationship skills, and if we just move on to the negatives for a bit, I think with the rise of social media, especially like before, like I still remember my mom would tell me, you know, like back in the day when I was a child, the TV would close at like 6 or 7 p.m.
Yes.
and done. You know, and I'm just like, wait, what? And our children and even us were constantly different apps
Have
on
a
your phone.
screen all the time in front of you. There's
Millions.
something in front of you feeding your brain some additional, like, it never turns off unless we sleep.
Exactly. So what does that give us? Instant gratification. There's always something now, 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 when in reality in life, it's not now.
It's not now.
It's not now.
Yeah.
And there's a rise in bullying and objectifying things, you know? And when you see a child, like they feel so comfortable. They're not like us adults. They feel the need to be cool. This is the time for them to like develop their self-identity and all of that. So like you see them objectifying people, bullying people. It's so easy for someone to say you're fat, you're ugly, and they don't
Yeah.
see the consequences that does
Yeah.
to
Yes,
another child,
100%.
you know, where like innately, yeah, like we're born to connect, to have that eye contact, to see those nonverbal cues, and they're losing all of that. And the thing is, like research shows that all these rites of passage that adolescents need to go through, which is like driving, partying, focusing on their academics, all of that, dating, all of that decreased. And what increased? What increased is them staying alone.
Mental health issues.
Mental health issues.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they're so comfortable with staying on their own because they're already bombarded. They feel that, oh, my identity is on my phone. So like, and I think it's a fine balance.
Yeah.
Which I think takes me to like another point as well when it comes to like modern mom is obviously finding the balance for your kids, but also navigating the world of social media as a new mom as well, I think is something that like, because for me, even not as a mom, I'm sitting here and I'm comparing myself and I'm comparing all of these things. So it's like, يعني مش بس you have to find the balance for your kids, you also have to find the balance for yourself and like find a way to like تقنع حالك إنه what I'm seeing is the highlights, which is why I love your page for real, because like you show us the hard times, you show us real raw moments. Like I loved when you did the one with the helper, for example, where, Talia did choose the helper in that moment over you. And that's something that, like, people, إنه نحن عنا in the Arab culture, we all grew up with housekeepers. It's very common. But there's so many people who ما بدهم
Yeah.
يحكوا عن هيدا الموضوع، ما بدهم يقولوا إنه لا, this is something that is really happening, or they hide the helper in their content. بس تعيشوا فيهم in real life ما بيحكوا مع البيبي. It's just the housekeeper. So how do you also, as a mom, like, find the balance for social media for yourself as well as a new mom, and not compare?
I feel like I just want to say something here. I feel like parents should be بالعكس, like when their child finds the care, the love, and the trust in another caregiver, it's really important. And I feel like as a mom, that makes you comfortable as well to know that, right?
Yeah.
No.
And that's the thing. It's like, yes, we love our children, we love them so hard, but we can't be selfish. Like we always we're so focused on like, oh, we want all the love for us, but at the end of the day, I'm at work, or if I'm traveling, I had traveled at that time, and she's taking such good care of her. Of course she's going to choose her. And that, just to touch on what you said, Petra, is like, I think one of the reasons why I started this page is because ever since like the moment that I gave birth to Talia, I was like, why are people not being real? Like, if just that one person is going through it, it just makes it a lot easier. Like, why are we so focused on projecting that we have it perfect? Look at me. I studied 4 years in early childhood education. I'm far from a perfect parent. Far from it. And I don't admire to be a perfect parent. I'm learning and I'm growing and I'll make mistakes, and I am making mistakes right now. So it's like, how can you give that, like, why do we have to project that perfection? And I think that's the thing also, Petra, what you mentioned on social media is like, even like right after you give birth, you see those people that are like, what, 6 weeks postpartum, they have their abs, and you're just like, wait, what?
That
Like,
makes me feel
how?
bad. I didn't even give birth.
What do you mean? Like, how did that even happen? So it's like, it's also that awareness that like,
Yeah.
and that's why like knowledge is power. For me, I think what I've done is like, and that's been like, my husband motivated me with that, is he literally deleted his Instagram account.
No way.
Yeah, it was like, he still
love
has
that.
his account, but he deleted it. He's like, I'm consuming so much content for no reason, and that's the last thing that I need to end my day. So now, I'm not very social media savvy. I think I just focus on my little mighty moments. I just follow the pages that actually like give that positive content, that content that I need. And I choose when to use that social media. And I think I hope that I can pass that on to Talia. It's like, your self-identity is not on social media. And I think one thing that I forced myself with my page, Little Mighty Moments, is don't focus too much on the numbers, the likes, and I can only imagine how it is for teens. Unconsciously, if someone, let's say you post something and no one likes it, you're like, wait, did I say something stupid? Did I not look okay? Like, it's ingrained in us, but it's just like, no, share it, be happy. And like, I get a lot of comments, by the way, as well, here and there. It's like, oh, you're showing your child. Like, that's another topic that like, I'm still navigating between me and myself, on like whether or not I should do that. I don't have the answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I do need to protect Talia's privacy as she grows up. She's still changing. But I think one thing that I really love is the relatability to, like, I think that's what we need to see more of. And that's what I love about your podcast as well. You guys are amazing.
Oh, thank you. Well,
You're amazing. Honestly, everything that you're putting up, everyone, I think, as a parent, and even not as a parent, like even if you're just looking at the content, I think everyone can relate to it, because we all know parents as well. We all have friends that are mothers. So what I first did when I found your page was literally share it with all of my mom friends. I just shared it with all of them. I love you. You were doing a great job, but it's cool to have this person.
Yeah, for sure. There's strength in being raw and being real on social. You don't get to see that. So it's beautiful to be able to like be a part of your journey as you're navigating it. And speaking of your community on Little Mighty Moments, we did open it up to get some questions to address during today's episode. So we have 3 questions lined up. And the first question that you got a lot was, how do you deal with mom guilt?
We all feel mom guilt, but at the same time, it's like understanding why you feel that. Okay, is it because you're not spending enough time? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's quality over quantity. 100%. It's really being present with that person rather than, oh, I'm spending all day, but I'm actually on my phone. Mom guilt, it's going to happen. There's no going away from it. But I think it's actually reflecting, like, why am I actually feeling that guilt? And what can I do about it? And just being easy on yourself. You know, you can't do everything. You can't, you're human. So as long as you're just showing up, you're being there for your child, you're okay. Be easy on yourself.
Yeah. No, I love that. Another question that we also got a lot, how do you manage going back to work with being like a first-time mom?
Look, I think it's a really tough one. But at the same time, I think it's so important. Like, I know some people do not have the luxury of choosing whether to go back to work or not. And I think it's all about like seeing how to make it work. It's really tough. Like, you're not even back to your old self, and let alone you have a baby. So you just need to build that infrastructure. There needs to be that collaboration with your partner at the end of the day, because you can't be mom and you're taking care of your children and you're also working, and no, we can't do it all.
You're going to drop the ball somewhere. You can't pour from an empty glass.
Exactly. So I think one advice that I would give is like flexibility. Like, if you can find a job that offers that flexibility, be it remote working, if your job is really not that flexible and you feel like you don't have the infrastructure at home to make it work, maybe it's looking for another job. And then let's say you do decide, okay, to leave the corporate world. That stuff as well. Being a stay-at-home parent, it's a 24/7 job. No one's telling you, oh, good job, you changed the diaper. Oh, good job, you cooked lunch. Like, amazing. Like, you're not getting that recognition, which we all thrive on. So, but I think one thing that I would just love to end this by is, I think it's so important to have a purpose, whether you're in the corporate world or you're doing something remotely or it's a part-time job or whatever it is. I think it's so important for moms, especially nowadays, have a purpose other than your children, even if it's something that you need, even if it's a hobby, just a purpose that you go back to. Because I literally always reflect back on, like, my mom was amazing. She was a stay-at-home mom, picture perfect. She did the best that she can. She was always there. But when we all left, I literally saw her like having no purpose. No purpose. Your kids are going to leave eventually. So what is your purpose? And then it's also good for your relationship too. It's you unconsciously will feel resentment toward your partner if you're doing all the work at home, and he's growing, and even vice versa. Could be, you know what I mean? So I think that's what I'd like to leave it with. It's like, regardless of what you do, make sure you have that purpose. Whatever it is, have a purpose other than being a mom. If that makes sense.
I think you touched a little bit on it with this question, but the last question that we have is, how does it affect your relationship with your partner becoming new parents? How does that affect the dynamic between the two of you?
I feel like that's especially a topic that no one talks about. Really, really, like, and the thing is, your relationship is going to change. It could change to the better when your child arrives, or it can change to the worse. But that's when, like, first of all, like, hormonally, like, so many people when they're pregnant or like even after birth, they literally cannot stand their husbands. Hormonally, you just can't. And I didn't have that with pregnancy, I think, with my husband, but after, like, I kind of felt like, wait, what? Like, you get to enjoy Talia, and I had to go through all of that, and I'm still going through all of that. It's like, maybe it's immature, maybe it's hormone stalking, but it's the truth. Like, you just feel like, wait, what? And then again, like, you were thriving, you were in love, you didn't have to think of anything, you wake up, the intimacy, all of that, and then suddenly, like, baby, diapers, responsibility, expenses. Obviously that's gonna change your relationship in a way. So I think communication is key. Yeah, and I think one thing that I really appreciated about my husband is like he told me at the beginning is like, I'm not gonna understand what you need. Tell me what you need, you know?
That's an
Yeah.
amazing way of putting it.
And he told me that when like I was pregnant and I didn't do that. That's a funny thing is like he told me, but like it's so easy to go like, but no, this should come naturally, you know? So it's like also being real and having that awareness that yes, you went through those changes in your body and all of that, but biologically we're not the same. So I think like being easy on each other and communication is absolutely key. And if you see people thriving on social media post baby and stuff, I hope that is the case, but also just keep in mind that not necessarily everyone's sharing the truth, you
Yeah,
know,
take
like
it with a
because
grain
no
of
one wants to
salt. Yeah.
take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because subconsciously you're always thinking, oh, but wait, I saw those couple and like they're in love and they're thriving and maybe they are. I hope they are. But at the same time, like, don't compare.
Yeah. I mean,
100%.
it's not to say like you guys are going to be all like fighting all the time. No, it's to say that there's going to come a point where you're going to have to be a bit more patient with each other, right? Because you're all it's a learning process for both of you. So you guys are both kind of figuring it out as you go, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was a great question too, though.
Yeah.
I love that question.
No, I love that because it's يعني, through so many different phases of your life, your relationship changes. But like, I feel like, especially when children become involved, it becomes like a whole different playing field. And like you said, not everyone talks about it. So I love that we were able to cover that question today. Jude عن جد, like, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a cool discussion. Obviously, me and Yarush are not moms yet, but I know that like we'll continue to lean on you when
We'll
we
go
do
to
become
Jude,
moms. Yeah. And I'm just
You're
so
going to be
excited.
amazing. And actually,
Go.
Petra, if I know that's not the way podcasts work, but I would I would love to hear from both of you, like really as people that like are also seeing all that, you know, knowledge about mothers and you know, like you could be on the track, you could not be wanting
Yeah.
to have children. I don't know, we've never spoken about that. But I think what is like your major concern when it like about becoming a parent or like a stressor? I'd love to know like from both of you.
I'll take that first. Petra's just like, a stressor. I don't know if it's a stressor. I feel like because I've seen a lot of people that are close to me become parents as a whole and then become moms, some of them have been like great role models. And I look at them and I go, they really like, they don't have their shit together. They're still figuring it out. But I love the way that they're doing this. I love the way that for them, and I think it's very important with a lot of parents that I've seen, the baby is an addition to their life. Yes. They continue living their life, but the baby is an addition. They don't change their whole dynamic just for the baby. Yeah. And I think that is so important. That's one thing that I've learned from so many of the mom friends that I do have and so many of my family. And I see it and I feel like that is something that I hope, because you never know how you're going to be as a parent. Yeah. I just hope this is something that I can use as well or be as well, you know?
Yeah.
Petra.
For me, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, all of it scares me. It scares the shit out of me. I've always I've always wanted to be a mom, and I'm so amazing with children. But like for me, I think what scares me the most is like also moving to the US made this harder for me. Is obviously I have like Jason's cousins as a support system here, but not having that support system fully لأنه كل واحد منهم هن مسؤول عن their own kids and they have their own families to take care of. So for me, I think that's the biggest part that scares me. But I'm really excited for it when the time comes, and I'm just going to move back to Lebanon, you know? Just going to move back to mom.
Dubai.
Or Dubai. Or come to you guys.
Dubai provides you with so much support.
Yeah.
There's support all over.
Just come.
Yeah.
That's what I always tell her. Just come.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. But Jude Anjad, thank you so much for being with us today. This was such a cool discussion. I think it's such an important topic, and just keep continuing posting all of the great content that you do and being your real, raw, authentic self. It's so beautiful to see. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ladies. It's an honor. I really mean
been a
it.
pleasure.
It's my first podcast, so like this will always be the first like ever experience like that. So it'll always be like a very special thing that I'll forever remember.
Aww.
But this isn't going to be the only time you guys see
Yeah,
Jude with us on the
we're gonna
podcast.
come.
We're
We're
definitely
gonna
going to be
have you
doing
come
more
back.
of yeah, yeah,
I'd
yeah,
love to.
definitely.
Yeah.
As always, please share your thoughts, your comments, your feedback. Do you have any questions for Jude? Either shoot them our way, or you can always message her on Little Mighty Moments and she'd be able to respond to you directly.
As always, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you right back here next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.